Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phay, and welcome to the channel. You know, relationships are a lot like algebra. Have you ever looked at your ex and wondered why? Today, we're taking a look at Ada's Dream from Alley Cat Games. In Ada's Dream from Alley Cat Games, 1 to 4 players are basically going to be working to try to build the most powerful or the best steam powered computer. All right. Now you're going to be going to workshops. You're going to be taking actions up there. There's a lot of dice manipulation in this game, a little rondel for it, which is fantastic. You're going to Ada's laboratory. You're dealing with stuff down there. You're trying to get notebooks. Those notebooks can allow you to do different actions throughout the rest of the board. There is a lot going on in this game. So I'll tell you what, let me explain how to play this game. This will be a brief explanation, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, folks, there is a lot going on in this game, so I'm just going to give you kind of a brief overview of how to actually play Ada's Dream. Okay, so the first thing you do is follow the rulebook, get the game set up. There's some steps like 2, 3, and 4, I believe, in the rulebook. You can actually skip those for the first few games until you get an idea how it plays. Once you understand how the game plays, and you can actually start putting overlay tiles over those little sections and change the game up. There's actually a lot of variability in the setup of this game, which is fantastic. Okay. All right. So what you're going to do is basically you're going to figure out who's going to go first. On your turn, you're going to do one of a couple actions. You are either going to do a workshop turn or you're going to do an action turn. If you do a workshop turn, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of the dice that's up in the little rondel and you're going to move it over into the next adjacent one. All right. And what you're going to do from there is you're going to push out a dice of equal or lower value. Now, you can always use a coal, I believe it's a coal, to move it one additional space, or you can also use one coal to change the value of one of the dice as well. Now, you can do each one of those one time, and that's it. But once you push the dice out, you're going to take whatever the action is on the space you take out. It's going to usually get you a resource, and then you're going to put that dice over in your mill, over in your store on your board. Okay. Later on, you're going to be moving that over. Now, once you put it down there, what you're going to be able to do is if you have any cards down below, you're going to be able to go up on any one of the research tracks based on the cards you're going to have down there. All right. And that's going to be your basic workshop action right there. After that, then you can choose to either publish or build a gear. All right. And you don't have to do either one of them. They're optional. To publish, basically what you're going to do is you're going to spend a book in every section of the board or the workshop anyways has a publish action, and you're going to be able to do whatever the publish action is. So anytime you can do a publish action, you just figure out what action you did, and then you do the publish action of that particular area. To build a gear, what you're going to do is if you have an open space on your mill where you've taken one of your discs off, you can take one of your gears that you have. You're going to pay the cost for that particular gear, and you can put it in one of those locations. Okay, and those are either plus gears, minus gears, or they're multiplication gears. But you want to get them in there because you can't actually score your mill until you get a full row, and it has to have dice and gears. Okay, and that's more or less what you're going to do on your turn. Those are your different things. Now, we'll cover them a little bit more. The actions phase anyways, a little bit more. So what's going to happen is the workshop phase is the main one you're going to do to be able to get dice over into your store. But when the dice are in your store, based on the color of the dice, you're going to take that dice and you're going to put it over into your mill, and you're going to put it in one of the little slots. Based on the color of the dice depends on the color that you're going to be able to take on the particular board. All right. Now, I'm actually going to be pulling up my sheet here because I cannot remember all these different locations. I borrowed the game and I played it with my buddy Chris. And because since it's his game, he ended up taking it home, so I don't actually have it with me to go over it. So think of this as more like a little final impressions. Okay. Now, so what you're going to do is if you play a green dice, what you're going to do is you're going to be able to take the intuitions action. The intuitions action is going to allow you to be able to take your discs. You're going to spend your, I think it's the innovation, the little track over on your right hand side. I forget what some of these things are called. There's a lot going on in this game. You're going to be able to spin those, and you're going to be able to put a disc out on one of those different tracks. Okay. And it usually costs on the level 2s, it's going to cost, I think, 1, and this is going to go higher up. Now you can jump areas, but you have to pay the extra fees for the ones below. So if you have a disc on level 2 and you want to put one on level 4, then you got to pay the fee for level 4, but you also got to pay the fee for level 3 because that one's not there as well. Okay, but you get to put your disc down, and then you get to score the points. Or you get, not score the points, you get to do the action based on wherever you put your disc. All right. Now, the nice thing about those is what the other thing you're trying to do is for every row that you have on, there's also going to be a value you're going to be able to get at the end of the game for scoring points. Okay. So that is going to be your green disc or green dice. If you spend a yellow dice, what that one's going to do is that one's going to take you to the meeting room. So that one's going to allow you to be able to take one of your discs, going to put it over in one of the different meeting rooms. And what you can do is you're going to have to pay money, and you're going to have to pay what's the innovation, and based on the room you put it in, but you can take a card from that row or one of the other rows to the right. Okay. And those cards, what you're going to do is those cards are going to go into your deck, and you have to have 8 cards in your deck. I believe it's 8 cards in your deck at all time. So once you gain a card, you either from your hand or from your discard pile, you have to get rid of one of your cards. You cannot go through your deck to do it, but it's got to go through one of those 2 places, and you just put that one in your hand. So basically what you're doing is you're now building them up. Now you're going to notice a lot of those cards, they're going to have a victory point value in the upper right-hand corner for scoring, and they're also going to have a little symbol for what science they are. You're going to be able to score victory points based on those, because based on the meeting rooms, the meeting rooms are going to have the little science icons as well above them, and those are all randomly the way they put out, and you're going to be able to get multipliers based on those number of cards. So you kind of want to try to match the symbols to where you put your guys in the rooms. But it's a way to basically get a better deck is what you're trying to do for there. Okay. If you play a blue dice is going to let you be able to do a travel action. Now, the travel action over on the travel board, what it's going to do is you're going to pay money, and that's going to allow you to be able to move to different locations. If you move to the universities, you get to put a disc down, you get to take the action. Those discs are going to be worth 2 victory points or more, depends on the university, at the end of the game during scoring. All right. Now, if you go to the small little cities, okay, the little square ones, you're just going to be able to take whatever those resources are there. So moving around that board is going to get you those different resources. Okay, which is really good. You want to be able to do all of those. And then the last one's going to be A to study if you do a purple dice. All right, if you do the purple dice, then basically A to study, what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to grab a little program. Now, the programs you're going to put in the different slots around your mill, and those are going to get you in-game victory points if you can complete that row and you meet the criteria that happens to be on that program. So you got to watch the program, you got to watch your dice and pay attention to all that, make sure everything matches up. The other thing it's going to let you do is it's going to let you do that little potion icon, and that's going to let you do one of 3 things. You can either do the book, you can get a gear, or you can actually get one of the little cards. The cards, nice thing about those, they're going to get you, you're going to be able to go up on a lot of different tracks. It might get you some resources, but then you're going to slot them underneath your mill, and that's what's going to get you those multipliers for your little icons, man, your little magnifying icons for going up the different tracks, okay, for doing those. I'm just totally forgetting all these different things. Sorry about that. Anyways, so that's A to study. Now, if you do a gray dice is going to let you do whatever one you want, okay? It's totally your choice. Now, if you notice, every single one of those locations is also going to have their publish action on them. Okay, so it's going to allow you to be able to do different things. So after you've taken the action of the different areas, like I said, you can either build a gear or you can do that publish. And the publish is you're just going to basically do whatever that says. You're going to pay the book, and then you're going to be able to do whatever. So like the blue one, for example, you pay the book, and then you can actually you have 4 values that you can plus or minus on your dice. Now you're thinking, why would you ever minus your dice, okay, or lower the numbers down? But if you have any of the gears out on your board that are negatives, well, you want those dice to be, say, 1s. You don't want those to be 6, because you don't want to add everything up and then have them as negatives. Okay, so what's going to happen is you're just going to keep going around and around and around the board. And there's a lot of other stuff you're going to be doing. Trust me, we can be here all day going through the rules on this one. But you're going to play this until one person has all of their dice spots filled up in their mill. Once that happens, you're going to complete the final, or that round. Okay, so everyone gets the same number of turns. Once you completed the round, then you're going to basically go through scoring, and you just kind of follow down the list. And there's a little pad. You just go down each one of those rows. It's going to score all the different actions on the board. It's going to score your mill. It's going to score your programs you have. Now, the thing with scoring your mill that you got to take in mind is you got little arrows on how to do all the multiplications and everything else. So you just go this, arrow to this one. Maybe it's a plus, maybe it's a minus. So you might do the minus and then do the multiplication or whatever, but you just kind of follow the arrows across. And that's going to get you the victory points for those rows and everything else. All right. Once you've finished all the final scoring, whoever has the most points wins. Ada's dream. All right, folks, there you go. That was a super high level on how to play this game, because I've seen some rules videos out there and they're like an hour long. They are so long on this game. Now, one of the things about this game that's really unique and really interesting is this is a small box, okay? But this game feels like it's as heavy as a Lacerda game. It is, and those are huge boxes. There is a ton in this little tiny box, and it is a heavy box too. There is so much going on in this game. There's the one Chris brought over, there's also an expansion. We didn't even cover the expansion. It's this total other board, a whole bunch of other cards and whatnot. There's, like I said, there's a lot going on in this game. So, anyways, I've only played this game one time, so I want to kind of give you more. This is more of a first impressions. Think of it that way, as it is more of a review. But I got a really good feel and a really good idea how this game plays. And I got to say, I really like this game. I think this is a really good game. Now, I'm a fan of the heavy Lacerda worker placement games. I really like them. It takes a lot to get into them, but man, once you figure them out, they're just this really good, well-oiled machine, and they flow really nice. Now, the one thing about this game is you want to do everything and you can do barely anything. I mean, that's kind of how it feels. There's so much going on in this game and there's so much that you really, really want to do, but you got to figure out how to be able to do that. For example, during your turn, I mean, you're gonna do your action, but at the end of the turn, you may want to do a publish action. Well, the problem is you got to get books. All right, getting books isn't necessarily always easy to do. Hopefully, you can get books based on maybe you get a card that's going to get you some books, or if you can, get those purple or gray dice and go down to 8 to study, that's going to get you some books that way. So finding ways to get your books is always a really good thing as well, because you need those books to be able to do all those publish actions. Okay. Getting the gears is really critical as well, because if you don't have the gears so that you can put on those disk spaces, you're not going to get the additions, the multipliers, or anything else. That mill there's so many points in that mill that you got to pay attention to what you're doing. And it's really interesting the way all that works, because you're going to put a lot of dice in there. You're going to fill that thing with 11, 12 dice, but you may only have 6 gears in there at the end of the game. If you struggle getting those gears, you want to try to fill as many of those as possible, because that's where a lot of your points are going to come from. Now, one of the things I didn't talk about, and I think I really like the mill aspect, and I really like the workshop aspect. When you take the workshop action and you put the dice down in your study, okay, like I said, you're going to be able to get multipliers on your different tracks, so you can go up the tracks of every one of the different areas, the 4 different areas. Okay, and that's critical, and I'll cover that here in just a second. But the thing is the dice that you play, okay, you look at your cards in the upper left hand corner, there's going to be a number. If the dice equals the number on the card, or it's a question mark with a number symbol or a dollar symbol, and you pay the money, you can play that card and take that action. And that is a key strategy to this game. You want to be able to get the cards to be able to do all the different actions. But the problem is a lot of those cards are dice values 1s and 2s and 3s even. They're low dice numbers. So you want to be able to say, take the travel action to increase those numbers. But then again, if you got those negatives out there, you want to lower those numbers and keep them 1s. All right. So it seems like a lot of the cards are going to be playable on those low numbers, the 1s and 2s. The higher number of cards, you're paying money if you want to try to play them. So you need to make sure you always keep a lot of money in your account, so you have those to play those higher cards. And you want to be able to try to play cards every single time you take those dice. You're getting a lot of resources with those cards. You're doing a lot with those cards. So if you take a storage action, or you move a dice to your storage and you can't play a card, you're missing out a lot. Now, one of the other really neat things about the workshop is if you can manage to empty out one of those workshops, not only are you moving the dice out of a workshop and pushing another one out and taking that action, but you get to refill that workshop, which means you're pulling 3 dice out of the bag, you're rolling them, putting them in that spot, but then you get to take whatever that action is. So trying to, figure out how to use the dice the best to not necessarily open the area for somebody else, but have them open it for you so that you get to fill it back up and you get that extra action. You get that extra resource right there is another key thing as well. So it's very cool the way that works. Now, one of the things that I talked about was every one of the areas is going to have the little tracks on the sides, and you have your little magnifying glass that you're going to go up. It's your research tracks. There we go. And you're going to be able to go up those research tracks. Now, the thing is once you get up those research tracks to a certain point, then you're going to be able to start taking advantage of them. So it's going to be more things you're going to be able to do when you do those particular actions. And those are really critical. And if you can never get all the way to the top of any of those research tracks, you're going to be able to get those bonus victory points because you're going to be able to get that tile that's all the way up there on the top. But getting those is really critical, and at least getting all up to the main level 1 of all of them, because then there's the level 2, and then there's like the little innovation up at the very top. But at least getting that level 1 on those tracks, you're going to get so much different things and so many extra bonuses for doing those. It's very, very cool. I do really like those research tracks. Okay. Now, like I said, there is a ton going on. I'm actually trying to go through making sure I got everything that I want. Now, one of the things that's really interesting too is on Ada Study. So I want to cover that one a little bit more. So Ada Study, one of the nice things there is that's where you're going to be able to get the majority of your books. That's where you're going to be able to get the majority of your assignment cards. You're going to go underneath your mill, and you're also going to be able to get your programs there. And you got that research track, and you really want to go up that research track on her, because every time you go up that research, or you get to level 1 or even level 2, once you do the action or take her study, you're going to be able to do more of those things. So you're always going to, when you go there, you're always going to get a program, and you're always going to get either a book, a gear, or you're going to be able to get one of the assignment cards. But once you get to level 1, well, now you get a +1. So say you took a book, well, now you can get a gear. Well, if you get to level 2, well, now you're going to be able to eventually, you're going to get all 3 of them, because you can take one of each one. So getting all up to level 2, doing Ada Study, you're getting the program, plus you're getting a book, plus you're getting a gear, plus you're getting an assignment card that you can actually put underneath. This faster you can get those assignment cards, the more you're going to be able to go up on those research tracks and during the game. Okay. And like I said, every one of those research tracks is only going to do nothing but help you out. All right. Ada Study, also the cool thing with her on her publish action is she's going to allow you to be able to take discs from your mill and place them on top of other discs. Now, where that's important is if you place it on the travel, it's going to make your discs worth even more points. Okay, because anytime you got a disc on one of the universities, every disc that's on top of it's going to be worth an additional 2 more points. If it's in the meeting room, it's going to help break ties potentially, or give you majority for that. And if you do it up, and what is it, the green one up there, the innovations, I remember what it is. What that's going to do is everyone's going to have whatever number on that particular row. If you're tied, you half it. But if you have a disc on top of another disc, it's going to break that tie. You will win it. Okay, so you'll get the points for that particular row, and they won't. So you can get a lot of points that way as well. So there's a ton of ways to gain points in this game. There is a ton of things to do in this game. There's a lot you want to do. There's a lot you need to do. But there's so much stuff you just can't do. And that is what I love about this game. It is a really cool, really unique puzzle. And trying to figure out how it's going to play out, trying to figure out how you're going to get your particular dice that you need, or manipulate your dice, and hoping someone doesn't take the one that you want. Because if you want a particular dice and they do something to mess it up, and they either take it or they make it to where you're going to have to empty something out and you're going to give someone else a bonus, that might play into your strategy a little bit. But like I said, there's a lot going on. This is an absolutely fantastic game. If you like heavy, crunchy worker placement games, all right, if you like the Lacerdas and really, really deep, involved, heavy, big, pointy games, I think you're absolutely going to love this game. There is so much good going on. This is an absolute fantastic game. And if you're a fan of those worker placement games, I cannot recommend this one enough. Well, thank you once again for joining me today. As always, I please ask you to like this video on YouTube, Board Game Geek, Facebook, or even on X. Please leave me a comment on any one of those platforms, and I'll get to those comments just as fast as I can. And also, folks, if you like the videos I do here, if you haven't done so already, I'm going to humbly ask you to click on that subscription button and even click on that bell and be notified when I drop new videos. And if you like the videos I do here, I also post videos over on the Discriminating Gamers channel. Over there, we'll do some unboxing, some playthroughs, and some reviews. I'll leave a link to Cody's channel down in the details below. You know, before I criticize a man, I like to walk a mile in his shoes. Then when I do criticize him, I'm a mile away and I have his shoes.